Welcome to another enlightening episode of HTM on the Line podcast, the podcast that is for HTM by HTM. I'm your host, Bryant Hawkins Sr. What does it take to transition from a 2-decade military career to a leadership role in higher education? Our highly respected guest, Dr. Brian M. Clark, offers a candid look into this journey, illuminating the resilience and determination it took to navigate this transition. Dr. Clark reveals how his military-honed leadership skills and experiences have not only been instrumental in his current role as the Director of Education at the College of Biomedical Equipment Technology, but also in bringing out the best from his team. This episode also delves into the essentials of the RBLP, Resilience Building Leadership Program, a groundbreaking certification program making ripples in the healthcare industry. Dr. Clark guides us through the program's 7-week course, the 3 levels of certification, and the career-defining credentials one can obtain. We also discuss the program's rising popularity and its ongoing impact on the healthcare sector. Finally, we touch on the often overlooked aspect of leadership, compassion and understanding in our interactions with others. Join us for an episode brimming with personal experiences, professional advice, and an exploration of a transformative leadership program. Prepare to be inspired. Brian, welcome to HTM on the Line. I'm so glad to have you on my show as a guest. How you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing great, Brian. Appreciate you having me.
Before we get started, can you please tell our listeners a bit about yourself and your background?
Sure. So I'm the Director of Education at the College of Biomedical Equipment Technology, also known as CBET. I actually just retired from 20 years active duty service as a Chief Master Sergeant E9 in the Air Force. My specialty was actually in munitions, so building, testing, maintaining bombs and missiles. And now I'm in higher education, right? But I've been teaching and building curriculum for college accredited courses since 2010. I've been with CBET for about 4.5 years now as an adjunct professor and curriculum developer, and then now, of course, the Director of Education. And since 2010, I've kind of knew that education development was my passion. So ended up being something that I started to do almost as a hobby, kind of like a side hustle, if you will, to for my own self-fulfillment. And then now it's kind of turned into my next career. So I look forward to seeing where this takes me.
So you retired from the military? You look kind of young to be retiring, man.
Today is actually my 40th birthday today. Yeah, I'm actually on terminal leave. So technically I'm not retired for a couple more months, but yeah, I, it's kind of new to me, growing some facial hair, picking the clothes out that I want, it's weird, but yeah, 40 today.
Wow. So how is adjusting to that civilian life going?
Honestly, I don't know yet. I'm still trying to figure it out, to be completely honest. It's one of those things where I've, been in that military mindset, military mentality, whatever, for 20 years. So trying to get out of that is just, it's just a learning curve, trying to get onto a new type of routine. But I'm enjoying it so far. I look forward to the freedoms that I didn't even know I was missing out on. So it's been good.
How do you balance your new professional life with your personal life? I know being in the military, everything probably was structured. So how do you go about balancing life now that you're on this new side of things?
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure it out, to be completely honest. You want to help me out with that? Kind of give me some tips? No, but yeah, like I said earlier, it's just a change in complete lifestyle, honestly, because I can select where I want to live. I can, like I said, simple things like if I don't want to shave today, I don't have to, or I pick out the clothes. I can take time to see, and do things with my kids that I normally wouldn't have had that opportunity in the past. I was deployed and separated from my family a lot. I think the last 8 years, a total of 4 years, I was gone. So it's a lot. And so now I don't have to worry about missing them anymore. So I definitely look forward to that.
Tell us about your journey from starting in the military to your role as a director of education at CBET.
Yeah. So in 2010, I was lucky enough to be selected to be an instructor for our munitions technical training. And so for 2 years, I was teaching brand new airmen coming in how to, build, inspect, maintain weapons. And I really found a lot of self-satisfaction from that. And I realized, hey, this is my passion. I want to do this when I am eventually done with the military. I ended up doing that job for 4 years total, kind of moved through some different positions. But then I got pulled back to my normal career fields. Luckily, toward the end of my career, I got an opportunity to be a director for a leadership academy for the Air Force, and that kind of got me back in the education realm, which I was thriving. I loved it, and I was like, hey, at this point, I probably need to start continuing my education. At that point, I started my doctorate in education, and pushed through for that. The last couple of years, I did get pulled back to my career field the last couple assignments. But I still was teaching with CBET on the side, and I kind of knew that there was going to be potential opportunities for me when I did finish, and so I completed my doctorate about 2 years prior, 2 years ago, and it lined up for a position with CBET. They were happy to bring me on in a full-time role like this, and here I am. So although I don't have a specific background as a BMET, I do have a lot of background in ISD, instructional design, curriculum development. Obviously, I have tons of on the podium and virtual teaching experience that helps me in this role as well.
So should I call you Dr. Brian Clark? I apologize by not making that mention when I first introduced you.
Brian, we're past that.
Okay.
We're past that. It is Brian.
Now, how do the leadership skills you probably have acquired over the years in the military can apply to your new role as a director of education?
Well, I think leading people is leading people, whether it's the military or not. I think as a leader, you got to be credible, approachable, authentic, and treat people with dignity and respect. And I think if you do that and you find the talents that other people have, no matter what they are, and you allow them to showcase those talents and give them a little bit of freedom and autonomy to do things and sometimes learn the hard way. Maybe they make some mistakes. That's okay. But if you do that, you will be surprised at what people will come up with and do and begin to really enjoy being at work, which is a challenge in itself. So I think if you do all those things, you can be successful regardless of what industry you're in. Just taking care of people, and then the people take care of business.
What type of advice can you give to veterans who are transitioning from the military to the civilian workforce?
Sure. Well, first off, it's never too early to start networking. I read a statistic not too long ago that it said 85 to 90% of new hires were directly done through some sort of networking. So either friend of a friend, possibly even like a LinkedIn connection, something like that. That means only 10 to 15% are people come in with a straight resume. And so you're putting yourself at a disadvantage if you are not making those networking connections early and showcasing your abilities and what you bring to a team, not only technical skills, but those soft skills that people really want to have, people that are coachable and loyal and are good members of the team. If you can do that and you can kind of make those connections, people will hook you up. And not only that, but there are so many different agencies that are designed specifically to help veterans get into the civilian workforce. So if you're not utilizing those, Veterati is one example. American corporate partnerships, that is another. Those are just two of many. But if you're not doing that, then you are setting yourself up for a harder transition than it needs to be.
You said that you are the new director of education for CBET, which stands for the College of Biomedical Equipment Technology. Now, this is an online school, correct?
Yes, we're completely online, which is, it's unique for what we do. But the great thing about all online schools is you have a lot of freedom and flexibility. So if you're already working full time, or you don't have exact schedule that is going to line up with a brick and mortar type school, this is a great option. And there's a lot of different programs that we have that can really help people get their foot forward into a HTM field.
What advice could you possibly give to an educator who may be looking to transition from a traditional teaching to online teaching?
Unless you just started teaching, I would say that most educators in some capacity got a taste of distant learning due to COVID. So you probably can kind of anticipate what to expect for the most part. However, yes, the schedule sounds good. You get some more flexibility, but there are some challenges because you have to understand that you are not making the same interpersonal connections that you are in a classroom setting. So you need to be able to do that in a virtual setting, which takes deliberate action. You have to really make sure that you are engaging with the students, probably more than you would have to if you had them in the classroom themselves. And some people really like the flexibility of working from home and teaching from their office. Some people don't like that because there's too many distractions. They don't get the interpersonal connections. So it's something that if you are thinking about getting into some kind of adjunct professor online teaching, you have to think about what is going to be best for you and where you are going to perform at your best.
Now, can you possibly share maybe a case study or a successful story of students who have thrived in your online learning environment?
I've been with CBET for, like I said, 4.5 years. And because it's a smaller school, I've become familiar with pretty much all the students in some capacity. And because we have such a great employment placement and student services team, shout out Lisa, Leslie, Olivia. They're so awesome that I get to see those journeys kind of come through, and people reach their goals with that employment at the end of their education. So when I see all those come through, every single one of those is a success story to me. And it really kind of gives fulfillment when we get to the end of the programs and we see the end of course surveys and people are saying nothing but great things about their instructors, their experience with the school. And not only that, but the job placement side is, you can't really beat it. And I know I'm a little bit biased, but I think that we have the greatest job employment team that of any college.
What advice would you give parents? Because by your school being online, most likely a lot of parents are not familiar with online schooling, even though COVID introduced the world to it for a year or two. But what advice would you offer to parents navigating the world of online education?
Well, obviously, first you got to do some research, right? You got to look at schools that are going to meet your needs. And also, it's important for students or parents to kind of take a look at society and see where it's going and where the needs are going to be, right? And you want to make sure that you're getting an education, you're getting your return on investment for something that's going to propel you to your goals. And there's a lot of great options, but when you really think about some things that are definitely not going anywhere, healthcare is one of them, and it's only going to get more prevalent. And there's going to be even more job opportunities especially when we start looking into IT type roles in healthcare settings. There's all kinds of different things that people, I think, are not fully aware of their options. And so it's important to look through there and also kind of take a look at your financial goals too, right? Like, how much school am I going to need to be able to get this certain income? Well, there's some really great options in the healthcare fields that I think people probably are not even aware of.
The College of Biomedical Equipment Technologists, an online school. Let's talk about graduates. How many graduates you think? Well, you don't think, you know. How many graduates does CBET put out a year?
So it fluctuates because we have a lot of business-to-business partnerships, but we right now have pushed out somewhere around 700 students, and I think we have currently 350 active enrolled at this moment. And keep in mind, this is a relatively new college. We've only been around for about 5 years now. So, and it is increasing every term that we start. Our numbers are bumping up, and we are pushing out more BMETs to the field than any other college in the country. So that's saying a lot for a relatively new school. But we're trying to keep on the cutting edge of technology and ways to make sure that we're training our new BMETs to be able to go out to the field and really just show what they got right off the bat.
Wow, 700. That's amazing. The local biomed college here graduated 3 last spring, 3. Let's kind of switch lanes a little bit. Me and you talked prior to getting on here about RBLP, Resilience Building Leadership Program. What's that about?
So if you look across all certifications, usually there's some kind of prep course, followed by a certification. And so I'd like to say, kind of clarify what a certification is first. So like certification is a professional. A certification is a credential that verifies someone's knowledge, skills, and abilities to perform a specific job. All right. So you might be an IT certification, or it might be a BMET certification. Well, in this case, it's a leadership certification. And so we recently teamed up with RBLP, who provides the certifications for resilience building leaders. And so what we do is we teach core competencies on resilient strategies, leadership skills, crisis management, emotional intelligence, adaptability, team building, high stress situations, things of that nature. And why is that important? Well, just like an IT certification or a BMET certification, you can prove that you are a resilience building leader with this certification. So it is provided in a 7-week course. So each week has specific topics that are hit. And at the end of the 7 weeks, you will receive a certificate saying you completed the training, and that opens you up to get the certification. The certification itself is actually through RBLP. There's 3 different levels. One being for frontline supervisors, one for middle managers, and then one for senior leaders. However, the training itself that we are going to provide, our first cohort is going to be starting on 8 January. But once you're done with the 7 weeks and you do get the certificate that you completed it, you can enroll to take one of these certification exams. And the unique thing about these exams is it's not a written test. It is an oral exam. And so dependent on the level of certification that you're going for will determine the content of that exam. Obviously, the higher level is going to be a little bit more in depth than the frontline supervisor level. Now, tying that all back in, why is that important? If you look at the healthcare industry, you're talking about an industry that is full of high stress, high emotion, situations that are going to create stress, anxiety on a team. And so as leaders, you have to be able to get your team to work together through the diversity and hopefully come out stronger on the other side. Now, if you don't do that, then that's where you're going to start having problems with keeping teams and retaining talent, because people are going to not be able to feel like they can deal with the stresses because they don't have a boss or a leader that really kind of helps them and sets them up for success.
Man, so this is something that's separate from the CBET program, right? This is something
yes,
that
this is something completely separate. Now you can do it simultaneously if you like, but this is going to be an additional certification that you can get. It's another resume boost. It's another marker that you can put to say, hey, not only am I BMET certified or whatever the case may be. You don't have to be BMET certified to take this certification, but you take this and now you're saying, hey, not only am I a certified BMET, but I also can lead some teams. So you can feel confident that you can hire me and I can run and really not only just manage, but really lead people to success.
And you mentioned certification. So will this also come with some credentials behind your name or?
Absolutely. Yep. So for RBLP, obviously, if you get the frontline supervisor, you would get the RBLP after your name. If you are middle manager, it's RBLP-C, and then the senior leader is RBLP-T. And if you have the T, then you also can become a trainer. And that's one thing that a lot of people like to do is they like to get the certification. Now they have the credentials, but they can also go in and train people in their work centers on the ins and outs of how to be the lead and build resilient teams.
I don't know if you can share this information or not, but could you possibly share some of what you may teach them? Or is there some kind of way you can give a little snippet of what will go on in this program?
Sure. So each week you will get some pre-reading and there will be one live webinar a week. Okay. So one nice thing about this training is you don't have to submit any assignments. It's really just the reading preparation and then the webinar where you and the instructor, if you go through CBET, it will be me, go through all of the core competencies of that particular module. Okay. So for instance, in the beginning, you're going to start talking about strategies. How do you develop and develop resilience in the face of adversity, right? So you talk about situations and you're going to talk about real life examples of how to be successful in a situation or not. And the nice thing about it is because there are other members in the class that you can kind of crosstalk and learn from each other as well. It's not just it's not me telling you how to be a leader. It's discussing on, hey, these are the situations that we've been in before. This is what's helped me get through these and how I've been successful. And it could be something along the lines of, a crisis or how to pivot if you have a quick change of direction from your boss. Those type of things are all going to be brought up throughout the course of that 7 weeks.
This class is really interesting. I never heard of a program like this. Is this a one-of-one or has this been going on for years?
So RBLP has been picking up traction pretty quickly because it's becoming widely known. I think I looked at their LinkedIn the other day and they've got over 10,000 followers. And last time I checked, they had in between 2,000 and 3,000 people that have been certified to this point. So it's becoming recognizable by industry. And like I said, it is one of those things where, you can say on your resume, I'm a great leader or I'm a great communicator, but now you have credentials to not only say it, but you can prove it, right? So it's just another thing that you can do and you can add that will not only help you in the training and development piece, but also could potentially help you in future promotion opportunities.
I know you said supervisor, director. So what type of leaders? I mean, so you can say team leader, director, regional director, or is there a limit to what type of leaders can take this program, or is it just whoever's a leader?
So as mentioned before, there's the 3 buckets, if you will. So when we're looking at frontline supervisors, you're talking about new to supervising, probably 1 to 5 people that they're directly reporting on, right? So just small teams. Maybe they don't have a lot of experience as a leader or supervisor yet, but this is a great opportunity to gain some skills early that can really benefit them later on as they grow and they get into those higher levels with leading people who are leading teams, right? So it's really going to be the first level is for those people that are technical experts and they're just going in now. They're going to be leading people to train them correctly and make sure that they're getting the job done. And then when you go up to middle managers, that's going to be a little bit more like your supervisors of supervisors. And so you have like your engineers that are going to have teams of more than 1 to 5 people. Maybe it's several, maybe they're over several departments that are going to be responsible for, hey, not only now am I making sure that my leaders are prepared, but they are prepared to lead the teams alongside them. And that a lot of that kind of goes into the communication and the direction and making sure that there is clear guidance. Those type of things are going to be really important once you start getting into those middle managers. And then when you get up to the higher level, the highest level, the senior leader level, that's going to be like your directors. So that's going to be your top level directors that in really in any industry or organization.
So basically what you're saying, though, depends on your level of leadership. That's how your classes will be divided up. So everybody probably won't be in the same class then. Or will they?
So that's a great question. So the training itself is the same regardless. So no matter if you're coming in to get the frontline supervisor certification, you will still receive all of the training. That's how it's designed. The only difference is when you go to take the certification exam, it will go into more in-depth on the core competencies. Now, to give you an idea, the 7 weeks, the first 4 weeks are going to be really kind of based on foundations. And then the last 3 weeks are really getting into the in-depth material of the course, which is going to be really more geared towards those higher levels. But it does not prevent the lower level applicants to go through that training. Okay.
Now, I know you mentioned the class is going to be online. When they do the sitting oral exam, will that be online, or will they have to go to a center and sit before someone?
It can be done of one of two ways. You can do it from your own personal computer, or you can go to a certified testing exam location. However, I recommend just doing it from your laptop and getting a comfy place in your home that you know you're not going to get distracted, and that's going to be the best way for you to perform if you do it that way, in my opinion.
You have to take some CEUs or...
So yes, there are CEUs. However, the nice thing is RBLP pushes out stuff to their app, and so it's easily to track. And you can just basically make notes or mark off as they put out material, whether it's reading or videos or links. Sometimes it's YouTube's videos on resilience or leading teams or something that's relevant. So it's really easy to keep up your CEUs. It's not like something you are going to have to try to go outside of your way to obtain.
Say I'm a young leader and I took the RBLP, got my certification. What do I do now if I want to get to that next alphabet that you mentioned? I think it was C is the second level.
Yes.
How do you go about that then? Do you just go back to you and take more courses? Or what if you want to get to the next level? How would that work?
So you would not have to go through the course again unless you felt like you needed to. What you would do is, as long as you were up to date with your CEUs, right, you're still credentialed, you would contact RBLP and you would prove that, hey, I meet the minimum work requirements for the C certification for the middle manager. And once they give you the thumbs up, you would be able to take the certification exam at a discounted rate to be able to get that next level certification.
Great. Well, Brian, I appreciate you coming on HTM on the line, man. I usually ask this one question for everyone at the end to wrap things up. Is there a personal mantra or a piece of wisdom you would like to share with our audience?
I really do value empathy and compassion. And one thing that I tell my team members when I get a chance is, hey, let's do this exercise real quick. I want you to imagine you're wearing a backpack, right? And every single one of your stresses is in the form of a rock. So small rocks, small stresses, big rocks, big stresses in your life, and put them in that backpack. All right. So now you've got this backpack full of rocks. It's heavy, right? It's weighing you down. And you look around, you look at other people that are just passerbys or people you work with. They're wearing backpacks too, but you don't know how much weight is in that backpack. Some people carry a lot of weight and they carry very well, and you would never know. So make sure that you're taking care of people, have some compassion, understand that people are going through things no matter what they may look like. They look like they have the perfect life, maybe not. So get to know people, have some compassion, know that we're all carrying weight. I think if you do that, people will appreciate that and really kind of gravitate towards you. So that's I guess that's my word of wisdom.
Well said. Well said. Well, once again, thank you, Dr. Brian Clark, and you're welcome to come back anytime. Thank you very much for being on the show, Brian.
Hey, thanks, Brian. I appreciate you.